Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. David Johnson here from Dirt Cleaner Videos, and you're in my shop, Lapidary. I got a couple of big projects on one of my saws, and I'm going to take you with for part of it. Some of it is not real interesting, so I'll skip a bunch of it. I don't even know if I can finish it. So for those of you who have been in my shop before, I've got three saws. Oh, here's a very glamorous picture of a 30-inch Covington. Over there, I've got the 18-inch Highland Park with the plexiglass top. I love that saw. And right next to it, I got my 18-inch Frantom, and it is a beautiful saw and it's worked great until recently. The motor went to heck, so I've got to replace that, and that's going to be one of the projects. And then if I get that going, then I might jump back into the under the hood side of it and work on the arbor, because I think I got some bad bearings or bushings or whatever is in there. So I got to see if those are replaceable or whatever. So I did take the motor out. I'll show you where that goes. The motor sits in this little wooden platform right here. It's gravity for tension. That part works great. But the motor did go bad, so I bought a new motor that I found online. Right, wrong, or otherwise, we're going to find that out too. So without saying where I got it from, at this point, there it is. For most of you guys, this isn't too big of a deal to replace a motor on a machine. This one just happens to be in a very bad spot. I'm going to have a lot of trouble reaching. I don't know if I can do it myself or if I'm going to have to enlist some help. I try to do as much as I can by myself, but sometimes, you know, I can't do it all. Even reaching down here to get this the box out of the box can be a bit challenging. Tight box in the box. Okay. Oh Lord, that looks way too big. Alright, I gotta get this up on the table. I want to take a look at it, figure out how to wire it up. Well, I got the motor on the bench. I'll show you that in a second. We're going back to the saw. Now mind you, the saw is facing the other way. This is the back of the saw, front of the saw is up there. If I was to open the lid, you'd see the blade has to go this way. And looking at it from this side, you would say that is a clockwise fashion. True. The motor goes down below, hooks up to this belt, and this belt goes in the same direction the blade does. There's no switches or anything, so, you know, if you remember back to geometry class, you know, it goes in the same direction, which is from this face clockwise. But your electrical motors, you picture them from the back of the motor looking out this way. So I have to wire that motor to go counterclockwise. Hope I don't screw that up, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So yeah, so I'm going to look at the motor, do a little preliminary work on it, and then see if I can't get it down here. I think it's going to work. It just looks a little different than the old one. It's a little bigger bodied, but I think we're okay. So let's go back to the motor. Okay, so far all I've done besides setting the motor on the bench was I took this cover off. Boom. This little cover, protective cover. 2 screws, Phillips screwdriver, and held in place up here with a magnet. So another good use for magnets is putting all your parts there. Now that stuff is stuck there. Down here, I've got the 115 volt diagram of how to wire the motor, and we'll get you some close-ups of that. And if you want to do 220 stuff or 230, that's on this side. This motor can go clockwise or counterclockwise, as I hope it would go. Now the problem is, right down here, I believe it says something about clockwise to counterclockwise just changed. The wiring diagram on this side is for counterclockwise. We're going to find out. There's a lot of wires here. They're all labeled. This is a brand new motor. Vivor's the brand that sells it. I don't think they make it. Somebody else makes it. So, for instance, this is T5. T9. So there's a few different numbers here. Some of these are going to get grouped together in one lump, and others I'm going to wire my wires to. Now I've got two wires coming in here because it's a switched system. So I've got to get a little protector for one of these. There's some holes here, knockouts. So I got to find them and I'll get back to you. I'm looking at the diagram. You know, I've got a close-up of that. I'll show you. You got line 1 goes to number 5. That'll be here. And then lines 1, 3, and 8 go to line 2. That'll be the white wire that comes in, or wires. And then there's a group of 5 wires. That would be lines 2, 4, 6, 7, and 9. They're right here, and all of these are labeled. I hope that label stays on forever. So they've already stripped the ends of these off mostly. All I really got to do is put these 5 wires together. Verify again. 2, 4, T6, T7, T9. And that I can do before I put the knockout in. A lot of wires to put together. That feels pretty good. These will all end up just tucking inside. So now as I put this in the machine, I'm thinking I want the wires to go in through the top. That's the closest thing. I don't have a lot of extra wires, so I'm going to have to put this in the top. Alright, so we got to protect the wire against the edge before we do that. Plenty of room. Okay, so now any wires that come in here are going to be protected from cutting. So that group is done. This one is T5. And according to the chart, T5 is line 1, so I'm going to hook the black wire to this. And then the white wire to these other 3. And they're labeled right down here. Okay. All right, I got to get this motor down there without dropping it. I don't want to wreck it. I don't want to dent it. I want this to work. Use what you got nearby. Okay, that's the proper way to put a half-horse motor onto a motor tray. There, always have a half-inch belt with you. There. Well, sitting on there, we got that much going for us. That's the only extra length of cable I've got. I don't have a lot. This is going to be perfect. Now I don't know if I should wire it first or bolt it down. Originally at the start of this video, I said this wasn't going to be a whole like how to put a motor on a saw thing, because most guys can do that, and you can. So I struggle a little bit here. That's understandable. But I guess one of the reasons I'm going to put this out there and kind of go through the whole thing is just to show you that you can do more than you think you can. You know, this is difficult again. Reach stuff, it's hard. I can't see, my hands get in the way. Nothing's really at the level I want it to be. So I just want you to know that if you put some effort and try to do stuff, you know, you're going to be able to accomplish things too. It doesn't mean matter if you have a disability or not. We all have some disability in our lives, or if we don't, we eventually will. Just keep a positive outlook and keep trying. I recently put out a video about building a raised bed garden, and I ran into some difficulties at the very, very end of it. So, yeah, that happens. I had actually asked for a little bit of help, got a little bit of help, but basically built the whole thing by myself, about 95% of it, a little more. And here we go. Now I got to get this motor wired and mounted, and hopefully we'll do it right. Okay, I'm back at it today. It's been a little break for me. After 3 weeks of trying to get that motor mounted, I gave up and called in my professional help. I had my son come over, and within 2 or 3 minutes he had these other 2 bolts in. So yeah, that part's done. Now what I've got to do is get the old pulley on the new shaft, hoping everything's the right size. It's nice to actually send it with a key. And I put a little rubber cover over it just to hold the little key in place. So we'll see. I hope I got the right size here. I think I did. I took the old pulley, just simply came off of the old shaft of the old motor. So I got that. It's a steel one, so that's good. I like the steel pulleys much more than the other one. So now I'm going to see if I can. It should work. And so that little pulley is the main drive, of course. tighten down here. This belt might end up being a little bit too tight. I don't think you want them this tight, so I'll probably have to get another belt because I've got this extended as close as I can. Unless there's an adjustment under here, but I don't. Unless I can lift it some. There's a threaded rod and there's a nut on each side of it. So maybe I can gain some room that way. I'll have to get a wrench on there. It's still tight. But right now I just want to check kind of the alignment of the thing. We got a little bit of room now, a little flex in there, so we're getting closer. But it's not made to move a whole bunch. Let me get the camera under there and I'll show you how this is put together. Okay, there you can see a threaded rod which will bolt solidly to the leg of the saw, the front leg. And then you can see there's two nuts so you can adjust it up or down. So it's not really a hinge sort of a deal, but it's going to work that way. So I'm going to get a wrench on there and see if I can't move that inside nut in a little bit, thus raising it up and loosening the belt. So we're going to give it a shot. I'm not going to film that, but it's going to be kind of frustrating. But that should lift that motor up a little bit and give more room for the belt. Okay, got loosened it to about right there. If you get things too tight, you're going to wear out bearings really fast. So I'll worry about tightening this down after I get the motor mounted tightly. Then I'll worry about the alignment of the pulley. Well, it took a little bit of struggling, but I managed to get the motor tightened down. As I did that though, it tightened up a little bit, so I still may have to adjust this a little bit looser. Again, you don't want this belt too tight. I think I'm really close though. But now we've just got to tighten the set screw down onto that key in the shaft, and hopefully it'll stay put. If I have any issues with it, I'm going to come back and put some Loctite on it. Hopefully that's snug enough. Seems to run true. Now I've got to wire the motor up and then we're going to come back and test it. We'll see. That'll be phase 1 of this multi-phase project. The second phase is going to be working on this arbor. So let's see if I can get this thing wired up. I'm not going to show you doing that because literally I'm not an electrician and I don't want to embarrass myself or show you how to do something wrong. So I'm going to do this off camera, and then I'll turn the camera on when I give it the first real test though. We'll see what happens then. Stay tuned. All right, I believe I got it wired up right. I made a mistake last time. I wasn't meaning to try it out, but I plugged it on and plugged it in, and poof, the motor went around and it blew the little breaker on it. So I did a little head scratching and moved some things around. I still have to taper on the fittings or on the electrical connections, and I've got a ground wire that I got to see if there's a ground screw, but I can't see in there, so I think I got to employ my son back here. We'll see. But I'll work on that. Don't worry. I've got the blade off, so the blade's not going to spin. Don't worry about that. We're just going to watch the arbor there as I lean in front of everybody here to the switch. Hey, she's spinning. Try it a couple more times just for fun. There we are. Okay, so I guess I've got step one of this project one. It's going to be a two-part process. The next step is going to be working on that arbor. I'll show you that after. In the next video, I'm going to just tighten up this motor, and maybe we'll show you a clip of a tightened up motor. But I got to tighten that up. But it does work. Motor spins around. Should be great. It was not very expensive. It was a lot of baloney work for me, but if I could have had it up at face level, if I could have somehow lifted this, put it on the back of a truck or something, I could have done it much, much faster. So we're going to call the part one a success, and it's something anybody can do. I've had help for like 2 minutes. I got a couple other little cleanup things in back. I may or may not have to call my son. I might have to just get the camera down there and look in there for me and see where the ground screw is. So I got to do that. All right, that's it for this phase from Superior Lapidary. I hope you enjoyed it. Thumbs up if you did. Even if you didn't, give it a thumbs up. Thumbs down if you hated it. I don't know. That's up to you. I'm just doing this, one, for myself, and two, for the people out there who are interested in doing things themselves. YouTube helped me out with a few parts of this quite a bit, so thank you, YouTube, and some other people. I'll put a link to 2 videos I watched as far as this motor. That worked out pretty good if I can go back and find them, because they really were very simple and very good, and explained it far better than I could. So I did what they did, even though it took me 2 tries. So thank you, people. I appreciate it. That's it for now. We'll catch you next time.